Outside it's just a bunch of different compartments full of more equipment, backboards, tarps that we can use to carry people out, C collars and head blocks and all that sort of stuff. Stair chair down here, and then this is where I'll keep my gear for the day. Obviously, if we get a fire, we're showing up in this truck, so we got, obviously it's not as much tools and equipment that we're carrying on the fire engine, but capability to get our gear on, put our air packs on. Obviously we have our own mask. We got thermal imaging cameras with us. This is going to be whoever's driving. This will be where they carry their gear. These are called air splints. You have broken bones or anything like that, we have board splints, or we can do a handful of different things to try to stabilize broken bones, or big oxygen bottle so we can use oxygen in the back. That's just supplying the whole truck. It's kind of the general overview of what we got on here. As you can see by the nice plaque they put on there for us. So when we go to purchase fire trucks, it's a little bit different than when we're buying ambulances. Ambulances are going to be kind of a fairly stock truck. To where this, we kind of try to tweak some stuff that's going to work best for us. So how compartments are laid out, size of tank that we want, type of pump that we want, all that sort of stuff. This is, I want to say 3 years old now? 4 years old. This is the newest engine that we have. So this has a 1500 GPM pump on it. So water is single stage pump. And this one is 600 gallons of water. Most of our other trucks are going to be exact pump, same exact pump, but just 500 gallons of water. Got room for 4. We only ride 3 guys each day. We have a driver who today is John, and then Captain Franks is the officer in charge of the truck today, and then Derek, who you met earlier, is what we call a tailboard, or whoever's cooking for the day. This is the pump panel. So this is kind of what allows us to bring in water, move it around, increase the pressure, and then send it out through whichever hose reel or hose load that we're going to be using. These are what we call pre-connects, because they're already pre-connected to the pump. Each one of these is 200 feet laid out so that we can kind of pull it out, and it all pulls off nicely. These are kind of usually going to be used for just your kind of general house fire. Something where it's not too long of a stretch. It's not like a rubbish fire or anything like that. We'll use some smaller hoses for that stuff. So all these different levers are just essentially allowing us to bring water into the pump. It moves it around again to just increase that pressure, and then whichever one of these we're going to pull is going to be which discharge that is sending it out through. So if we wanted water out of this orange hose load across A1, we're just opening this up. And that's what's letting us send that water to that specific hose line. So
it looks confusing and intimidating, but once you get to know it, it's not so bad.
It's not like you're using every single piece of that at once all the time. So this is what we call the engineer's compartment. It's really just a hodgepodge of a bunch of extra things that we may or may not need. Nothing too fancy is in here, like some spare nozzles, some adapters and fittings. Like we use one type of hose. Some of our surrounding departments use a different threaded hose, or the threads are different, so we need adapters. And if we were to try to match our hose lines up, if needed, we need to use adapters to be able to accomplish that. So all that spare stuff's kind of kept in there. Bag of hand tools, absorb all for car accidents, just kind of basic stuff like that. We've got our spare cylinders for our air bottles. This is just spare air bottles. The driver's seat is the only one that does not have an air pack integrated into the seat, just because generally they're going to be the one that's kind of controlling the pump. So usually they're not throwing an air pack on right away.
We run 3-man engines, right? That's why there's 3 air packs. The NFPA standard has done endless studies to show that for proper manpower for a fire engine is 4-man engines. So that's why there's most fire engines you receive will have 2, if not 4, in the back here. So this is equipped for 4 members to ride on the engine. Again, ideally 4 is the best, right, for public safety and, you know, the safe fireground operations.
The primary ones that we use are going to be in the seats, but if for whatever reason we needed to grab more, we have a malfunction with one of them, we have somebody extra that needs an air pack, then we can always grab it off of here as well. Not a whole lot else going on here. This is our rip bag. RIT stands for Rapid Intervention Team. So anytime that we go to a working house fire where it's kind of a full station response, we're going to establish a RIT team, either with our own members initially, or as other departments show up or our kind of mutual aid starts to show up, that might be a task that we assign to them as well. What that stands for is that anytime that a firefighter gets into any sort of trouble, if they're down, they've run out of air, they're trapped, they fell through a floor, anytime where they call what we call Mayday, which is like a all hands, I need help sort of thing, this is going to be one of the things that we utilize. We saw, like I showed you earlier, we have like that tarp that we can use to move patients at times. We have another one in there, but all that's for is just, we'll set that out on the ground to set a bunch of different tools aside that we may need in the event of a Mayday. This is the kind of the primary one that we're going to use. We may grab some hand tools, some of our saws, whatever tools that we kind of feel necessary. Pretty basic, kind of intentionally. You don't need it to be overly complicated, truthfully. The kind of less pieces that we have going on, the easier it allows us to do in a very stressful situation like that. Has a spare mask. All this does is just provide them air.
Okay.
So we have like a heads-up display that we normally have that lets us know how much air we have left, stuff like that. Voice amplifiers make it communication easier. This has all that stuff kind of removed off of it just to make it a little bit easier to get it on and off a down firefighter if needed. We've got two different ways that we can hook up to their air bottles. Air packs that we have in the seats and in the packs are rated for 45 minutes under like normal breathing conditions, which in a house fire is not normal breathing conditions. So this one is rated for 60 minutes, so a little bit more air that we can bring with us in the event that they're low on air or completely out of air. There's just a little section of webbing in here as well we can use to drag them out if needed. Lockout tagout kit, so in the event that we need to do like a machine rescue or we need to somehow shut down and make sure that something stays shut down, some sort of utility, so even if it's electrical, gas, water, whatever it may be that we need to make sure that we shut down for safety reasons, that's a kit that we can use. Comes with a bunch of different covers and padlocks so we can lock stuff out until we can get people there to kind of fix the issue. These struts right here, this is what we use if we need to stabilize like a vehicle that was in an accident, is now on its side, on its roof, pretty much anything but on all fours. Kind of what a lot of that stuff is in here, just different hand tools, chain binders, high lift jacks, different assortment of hand tools, a little bit of cribbing that we have as well. If we needed to start doing extrication or extricating a person out of a vehicle, we'll start to stabilize that using our struts or whatever else we may need, and then using our cribbing so that as we kind of take away some of that structural integrity of the car, that we are kind of trying to maintain some of that as well. So that's pretty much it for back on this one. Up here is what we call like static load hose. So none of it except for this section right here is the only one that's pre-connected. 2.5-inch hose line, and then this is what we call our large diameter hose, LDH, and that's 5-inch diameter hose. So that's what we call supply line. Like when you see us hooking up to a fire hydrant, that's the size hose that we're going to use. It just allows us to get the most water of that hydrant as possible. 2.5 is going to be a little bit larger. We can use that for attack lines, just like the cross that you saw kind of near the pump panel. We have what we call skid loads as well, which is one of that you see in the rear compartment there. There's another one that's on top that is pre-connected to that 2.5-inch hose line, easy for me to say, up on that left side there. So that orange hose that you can kind of see is the one that's pre-connected. Those are 100-foot bundles, so as opposed to the 200-foot bundles. So we can start to take that 2.5-inch hose line off and walk as far as we need to, and then once we kind of get to that point, we'll break it off and then connect it to our rear discharge here. What's nice with that is it's connected to what we call a gated Y. We can use two hose lines at once off of that 2.5-inch hose. So we'll bring all of this up if we were to have a fire in a high rise, and then that little bag down on the bottom is what we call our standpipe kit. So it's got a bunch of different accessories and adapters. Some of them is similar to like what you saw in the engineer's compartment. It's just a bag of them that we can bring wherever we want to go. Standpipe is just a big vertical pipe that's in any sort of high rise or just kind of even larger buildings that we can hook up to from the inside, and we don't have to stretch hose lines all the way into the building. So if you have a fire on the 12th floor of the co-op, we don't need to carry our hose all the way. We don't need 12 floors worth of hose. We just need our 200 feet here to get us across the floor. Different hand tools back here. These are what we call pike pulls, or I'm sorry, New York hooks up here. So we've got a few different sizes, 2 6-footers and then a 10-footer. There are 2 6-foots and then a 10-foot long pike pull that we can use. We can do all sorts of different things with that. Primarily is going to be used to pull ceiling. So kind of once we have a fire out or we're looking for fire, especially in the attic, we'll use that to kind of punch through the drywall or plaster or whatever the ceiling's made out of or covered with. 2 different ladder sizes that we carry on this truck, 14 foot and 24. This is just a regular 2-fly or single-fly extension ladder. Ladder truck carries more than that. 2 roof ladders, 24, 35, and what we call an attic ladder. We've got one up here too. So it's a really thin profile, like this. So it just kind of folds together. So if we unfold it, it's probably only 12 inches wide. It's going to be a lot more narrow than a regular roof ladder would be. Cutters up top that we can use to cut service drops. So if you need to like cut the power from a house, we're not able to pull the meter, then we can use that to cut the service drop as well. LA hook or trash hook. Back here's a lot of power tools as well as our extrication equipment, drills, impacts, sawzall, grinder, different flashlights, larger impact. All of our extrication tools and then our battery powered chainsaw all run off of the same battery type, so it allows us to be pretty efficient with a lot of the use for that. So airbags, so we can stabilize and lift with these. They don't give you a ton of lift, just enough to, like if a car were to be on top of a person or something, that we can use that to lift that car up enough to free them from there. So I'm sure you've heard of like the jaws of life and stuff like that. That's what these tools are down here. This is a different brand of them. Same type of tool. But our ram, it helps if you can see which way it goes. Primarily what we're going to use this for is it can be used for some lifting type stuff. The most popular use that we probably use it for would be like a dash lift. Bad car accident and the dash has like kind of pushed down onto like the driver or one of the occupants. And until we get that dash kind of pushed off of them, then we're not going to be able to get them out. This is a great tool that we can use to kind of push that dash back away from them. So like it'll do similar stuff as what our spreaders will do. It's just it has a much longer kind of throw with this piece than we do with our regular spreaders. There's a kit right here that we have. Depending on what we're using it for, it's got some extension tubes, so we can put those on there. That gives us, so if you've got a much wider gap, then we can take up that with our extension tubes. Different types of heads that we can use on it as well. These are just our cutters and our spreaders. Obviously, spreader spread thing is part, and then our cutters are right here. Generally, when you see us like kind of trying to pop a door in order to gain access to somebody, this is probably the tool that you think of most often. Then we can bring our cutters in after that to cut the hinges off so we can completely remove that door, or just do whatever we need to do. More cutting wheels, hole saw bits, sawzall blades, stuff like that. Like I said, we got some more air bottle storage right here. Just another 3, same as on the other side. This is where we keep our water can extinguisher. So really all this is just compressed water with some foam. You can use that for smaller fires. 2 different chainsaws. One runs off battery, as you can see right here. Typical gas-powered chainsaw, as well as what we call a K12. Obviously a big saw blade on that one that we can use for a couple different uses. So that one's really comes in handy. You might see like on car fires, we'll try to cut the hood open just to make sure we can gain access to the engine compartment. Make sure all the fire's out there. Other extinguishers that we can use for just different types of materials that might be on fire. CO2 and then dry chem extinguisher as well. So just use those for different types of things. This is a battery powered fan, so this is what we'll use to try to vent out smoke from a building. Generally we're going to use this once we have the fire out and we're in that overhaul mode. We've already kind of have that fire under control. We can use that to help us gain some visibility and just make sure that we've kind of hit all those hot spots or found all those hot spots within the house. And then obviously this is just the opposite side of the pump panel. Some cones for traffic accidents. Another intake for the pump, as well as a couple more discharges. Some medical equipment back here, jump bag, monitor, Lucas device. All of our trucks are staffed with mostly paramedics. they're able to start providing advanced life support care before an ambulance gets there, or if they're waiting on an ambulance. Or, even if, depending on the type of call, if it's cardiac arrest, we bring an ambulance and the fire engine, just so that we have enough people to kind of manage that scene. Different hand tools that the tailboard guy might grab as he's coming off the truck. Just a couple of seats up here, maps, binders, so there's like apartment books, a couple of different maps for other cities if you ever need to look that up. And then in the front we have what we call front suction or front inlet. So this is one of the ways that we can hook up to a fire hydrant through this, or on either side, depending on where the hydrant's at, where other trucks are at. You can use this to hook up to a hydrant as well if it's got a 2.5-inch discharge on it. Hydrant gate will hook up to that so that if we need to hook up a second hose after the fact, we can use that without having to shut the hydrant down. Really the general overview of the truck. Like just a complete copy of what we've already got on this truck, if we're going to need to bring that one as well. So we've got like the struts that we had on the other side, we've got a lot more sets of those on there, base plates and different heads for that. Another set of K12 chainsaw, and then just a bunch of different rope bags, accessories for ropes, carabiners, and pulleys and all sorts of different stuff for that if we need to do a rope rescue or a tree rescue. Or that one's got a bunch more ladders on it. Same pump, a little bit less water. So a lot of some of the stuff on here is maybe some of the older equipment that we had. So like the K12 that we have on here is an older one. The fan itself is not terribly old, but we replaced them with the battery powered ones. The battery powered ones are really nice because we can bring them inside of buildings. So where if we were to use the gas engine fan inside the building, we're just putting a bunch of CO in the building, which doesn't really do us much favors.
Yeah.
So that's why a big reason why we switched to battery ones. These are still really useful. So we still have that one on here as well. And then the same kind of thing with these tools. These are just our older extrication tools that we had. We moved to the battery powered ones a few years ago. We got rid of this entire, what we call power unit. So that's a gas power unit that pumps the hydraulic fluid to the tool through all these different hoses. And by going to battery powered, we got rid of all of that stuff. So each tool just takes its own battery. The downside is that those can chew through batteries fairly quick. And if you're on an extended scene for an extended period of time now, I'm not hoping that you're going to run through a bunch of batteries to where if we can kind of use both of them, or we can use this as a backup, or carry a bunch more batteries on here as well. Same kind of hand tools and stuff on this. The cab is exactly the same layout as this one is. That's about it.
All right.